Diaries, number 25. Hey everybody, welcome back. Psychedelic here. Acid Archive Diaries number 25. Yes, 25 diary entries, can you believe it? I've been taking a little bit of the back seat lately. I think a couple weeks ago now, I did the last one, Fear Itself. So I think 25 is a pretty good run. So just letting the thread kind of breathe a little bit and let others join if they want to. I don't want to feel like I'm hogging up the airwaves because that's definitely not me. But I've just been really enjoying the thread, I've been kind of going out of my way to make a lot of videos this year on YouTube and just really enjoying it. So hope you guys are too on my journey here. So just kind of spotlighting different records. And today's entry, I'm going to be talking about one that I did a live stream on a couple weeks ago now. And speaking of live streams, I'm recording this Thursday. Hopefully I can push it out Thursday yet. But I'm going to be doing a live stream tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And hopefully I will. It's kind of scheduled, in case something comes up, but should be in the clear. I'm going to be doing a back-to-back double feature on 2 original LPs. I think they both came out in 1969, so whether they complement each other well or not, it's still going to be a fun time, and I think we can get away with it. I don't think there's any copyright issues because I did some testing beforehand. And so yeah, double feature, bring your own popcorn. There are no free refills. So sorry, Randy, you're gonna have to look elsewhere. We'll settle something out of court about it. Silliness aside, let's dive into this one. So I said on the live stream, I was gonna talk too much about the backstory. I was gonna leave it for this particular video, and here it is. So the surprise package, free up. I think this came out in 68 or 69. I want to say 68. Sounds a little bit more like it could be true. But it's on the LHI label, Lee Hazelwood Industries. And yeah, I've always kind of considered this album. I never really thought of this band prior to the live stream, but totally makes sense. But it almost kind of comes off as like a Vanilla Fudge Exploito record. The way that they're kind of capitalizing on that heavy Hammond organ, but also that heavy fuzz guitar interplay, both working together. And they do a pretty good job of it. And I might say I might prefer this over a lot of Vanilla Fudge material. Never been too big on that band. It's almost too dramatic for me. But I do like Renaissance. I think that's maybe their strongest album. Some of their other stuff's kind of hit and miss. And of course, their big hits are pretty cool, but otherwise never been too big on that sound. Besides like the knockoff bands like this, giving a little more interesting characteristics, I guess. But yeah, so LHI, there's a lot of great different titles on there. The Aggregation, which might be my favorite on the label. Arthur Lee Harper with Dreams and Images, Honey Limited, a few others out there I can't think of right now, but yeah, a lot of Lee Hazelwood records, obviously, and I think it lasted for about, 5 years maybe? I think that's right. Yeah, and there's a song that's actually comped on one of the Lee Hazelwood compilations, the opening track, New Way Home. That's the only track that's copyrighted on here, apparently. And it's featured on that compilation. It's like a bunch of different productions under the LHI label. And kicks off pretty well with that track. It's a great example of what you're going to get into here. Kind of a hard rocking, not too tripped out, but it's kind of just a lot of organ work, a lot of harmonies moving about. Once the guitar and the organ's taking a break, they kind of let the harmonies flourish a little bit. Then you got a second track here, which is definitely one of the better tracks, a lengthier cut, 7 minutes, 100% Vision. which I do recommend. It's got a great scorching guitar solo in there. It lasts for about a couple minutes or so. And again, kind of just takes that, Iron Butterfly kind of formula, but it's not like that eerie side of Iron Butterfly where they're kind of doing these kind of moody things too much. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but very enjoyable track. And then closing up on side one, you got Breakaway and Supporting Cast. A couple decent tracks. It also kind of reminds me of Lee Michaels' Carnival of Life album. Again, with that kind of heavy organ, fuzz leads. I keep repeating myself, but that's all that comes to mind. That's very much just those two things that are the central things pushing these records along. And then side two, you have a nearly, side-long track called Free Up. But just prior to that, you got a very much a waste of vinyl with Social Disease. It's like a 2.5-minute cut. Very ragtimey, people cheering drunkenly in the background. Skip that track, it's not good. And then once you get to Free Up, which I think is the best cut on here, clocking in about 16 minutes, definitely takes that Inagata-Devita formula where, they got the hooks in the beginning, a little bit of a guitar, fuzz solo. The bass guitarist is like already taking a break, but the guitarist is still going. And then you got like a 2 to 3 minute drum solo, and then eventually they kind of just build the track up and take their time with it. Doesn't really go any odd angular places except for there after that drum solo. Just kind of using those same chord progressions, a little bit of free improv maybe. And yes, it's got a very squeaky bass drum pedal. Got to put some WD-40 on that thing. And then that's pretty much it, man. I mean, it's got its moments, but it's not like over the top, like your mind's going to be blown or anything. But it's very much a fun time listening to this one. And again, it kind of, the more I listen to it, I mean, this is the most I've enjoyed it since that live stream. Listening with you guys, that's the most fun I've had out of this. Again, it's got its moments, but it's there's something a little lacking here. Maybe some tightness. I think they could have rounded some tracks up a little better. But they're young and they just let these ideas just kind of flow out of them, just very spontaneously in the moment. And I think there's a lot of great things captured on here. And on the live stream, I also referenced a couple other bands that came to mind for me. Listening on Vanguard label and The Hook on Uni, their second album. Once they got the organ player Dennis Provisor on that one. I was thinking about those different albums kind of like that. So maybe a little bit of jazz flourishes on here too in some of the rhythm section. So there's a little bit of that going on. But otherwise, yeah, a couple big highlights. 100% Vision, I would say, and then Free Up, the title track, the two lengthier cuts. And I think the running time is only like a half hour long. Again, I think they could have really fleshed this one out a little more if they had maybe some more time in the studio, perhaps, or whatever the circumstances were. But otherwise, I think it's a keeper for now. I every time I take it out, I always do enjoy it. So, but anyways, following up on their backstory, they started out as the Viceroys, which was like kind of a teen garage band from like the mid 60s. I want to say like 64, 65, around there. And then they formed from the Pacific Northwest, from Seattle. I think they might have done some touring from there to Portland, kind of in that region. And they also released some singles prior to this on Columbia, which I haven't heard in a while. I don't remember if those were any good. I think they were. I just don't remember what they sound like necessarily. I would imagine they're more garage oriented. I've definitely seen one of those out in the wild before, but it was like way too beat up. It was like a white label promo or something. But yeah, and then after this they would form into American Eagle on Decca label, which that's also one I have not heard yet. I would imagine it's kind of like, a lot of Decca releases around 1970 after the turn of the 60s. They kind of went in a more like kind of rural rock direction. I'm always thinking of bands like Sundance, Glass Harp, Chelsea that I picked up on this year. Kind of a straightforward hard rock sound, I would imagine, but again, I haven't heard that one, so. Get a shot of the label here, and then we'll read the entry. I have not read it yet, actually. But I did see it was in there because it's got a colored photo. Kind of cool orange label there. You got side 2. It's a pretty strong, I would say, BG copy. It's got maybe a pop here and there, but it plays pretty well, man. And yeah, I think that's all I got to say about this one. So at least I did something this time that wasn't so left field and get a little more back into the traditional, psychedelic roots, and something for the entire family. So let's see what the Acid Archive says. Again, this is the 2nd edition. If you guys aren't familiar, this is a great, very knowledgeable book covering a lot of limited releases like private press records, self-released DIY kind of oddball things. But then you also got the real obscure major label stuff. It's exactly what I love. So here we get the little clip art there. Let's read about it. 1968 came out. Seattle, Washington, and at the time, still got a 1 rarity. I think you can still pick these up. I mean, this has kind of gotten pricey. Even when I was picking this up, like back in, I think 2018, I got this one. I think I paid maybe about $50 for it. And that's maybe a little more where it should be, like $40 is kind of where this should land, ideally. I think it's gotten closer to like $80 to $100 now, so hunt it down if you can. Anyways, let's dive into the entry here. Here it says, pretty standard late 60s heavy psych with soulful vocals, lots of organ, and loud fuzz guitars. As with most of these bands, it has its moments, and the guitar sound is very nice. Still, it doesn't really offer much you can't get from dozens of other LPs. The long title track, which would have easily been the album's best song, is extended beyond the bound of reason with a batch of dull solos. It has some nice feedback though, a psychedelic color sleeve, and the LHI label guarantees a certain amount of collector interest. The band's 1966 debut 45 on CBS is pretty good beat garage. So it's kind of a garage thing. This is by Aaron Malinsky. So there you have it. Kind of a short and sweet entry there. So pick up on it if it sounds like your thing, baby. It's been going pretty well here. Just been very busy. I'm kind of glad I can just have enough time to push this video out. And yeah, I got 1 LP in the mail since then. And that should be about it. So take care. Acid Archive Diaries number 25. What's next? We shall see. It'd be a surprise package. Anyways, take care, and we'll see you soon.